Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Hey there, Catholic pilgrims! Welcome to day 117 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. Today we hit a milestone. We are finishing Notebook 1, and we have gotten farther than I originally did when I first tried to read through this all by myself. So for me, this is a big thing. And I am just excited for all of us that this is a milestone that we've all completed together. And so we actually have quite a bit to read today. It's very interesting reading. Sister Faustina is visited by a lot of souls, and they're asking her to pray for her. So the readings today are very interesting. And then at the end, we're just going to do kind of a summary of where we've been and what comes next. So this is a really exciting day, and I am just really proud of all of us. Pats on the back. So our readings today are from Notebook 1, Numbers 5:12 through 5:21. The day of the renewal of vows. The presence of God flooded my soul. During Holy Mass, I saw Jesus, and he said to me, "You are my great joy. Your love and your humility make me leave the heavenly throne and unite myself with you. Love fills up the abyss that exists between my greatness and your nothingness." Love is flooding my soul. I am plunged into an ocean of love. I feel that I am swooning and becoming completely lost in him. Jesus, make my heart like unto yours, or rather transform it into your own heart, that I may sense the needs of other hearts, especially those who are sad and suffering. May the rays of mercy rest in my heart. In the evening, when I was walking in the garden saying my rosary and came to the cemetery, I opened the gate a little and began to pray for a while, and I asked them interiorly, "You are very happy, are you not?" Then I heard the words, "We are happy in the measure that we have fulfilled God's will," and then silence as before. I became introspective and reflected for a long time on how I am fulfilling God's will and how I am profiting from the time that God has given me. On the evening of that same day, when I had already gone to bed, a certain soul came to me, woke me up by tapping on the night table, and asked me to pray for her. I wanted to ask who she was, but I was mortified by curiosity and joined this little mortification to my prayer and offered them for her. Once, when visiting a sick sister who was 84 and known for many virtues, I asked her, "Sister, you are surely ready to stand before the Lord, are you not?" She answered, "I have been preparing myself all my life long for this last hour." And then she added, "Old age does not dispense one from the combat." Before All Souls' Day, I went to the cemetery at dusk. Although it was locked, I managed to open the gate a bit and said, "If you need something, my dear little souls, I will be glad to help you to the extent that the rule permits me." I then heard these words, "Do the will of God. We are happy in the measure that we have fulfilled God's will." In the evening, these souls came and asked me to pray for them, and I did pray very much for them. In the evening, when the procession was returning from the cemetery, I saw a great multitude of souls walking with us into the chapel and praying with us. I prayed a good deal, for I had my superior's permission to do so. During the night, a soul I had already seen before visited me. However, it did not ask for prayer, but reproached me, saying that I used to be very haughty and vain, and now you are interceding for others while you yourself still have certain vices. I answered that I indeed had been vain and haughty, but that I had confessed this and had done penance for my stupidity, and that I trusted in the goodness of my God, and that if I still fell occasionally, this was indeliberate and never premeditated, even in the smallest things. Still, the soul continued to reproach me, saying, "Why are you unwilling to recognize my greatness? Why do you alone not glorify me for my great deeds as all others do?" Then I saw that this was Satan under the assumed appearance of this soul, and I said, "Glory is due to God alone. Begone, Satan." And in an instant this soul fell into an abyss, horrible beyond description. And I said to the wretched soul that I would tell the whole church about this. On Saturday, we left Krakow and returned to Vilnius. On the way, we visited Czestochowa. When I was praying before the miraculous picture, I felt that our pleasing, unfinished thought. End of Notebook 1. So way to go, guys. We made it to the end of Notebook 1. I think it's so important to recognize when you've made a milestone, especially when you've definitely committed yourself to doing something for a very long period of time and, committing to coming and tuning in every day to this Sister Faustina podcast is definitely a commitment. And I'm so happy that so many of you have decided to join along. It just really makes my job easier of reading this to you guys, knowing that people are going to be showing up and, expecting to hear a podcast and a reading. And so it makes my job easier knowing that I have some accountability, I guess. But we started this back in January, and on the very first day, I know some of you have probably joined at different periods along the way, but for the most part, everybody tuned in on January 1st, and now we are at the end of Notebook 1, and we've come a long way with Sister Faustina. From the very beginning where she was still living at home with her parents, trying to decide whether or not she wanted to enter into an order, and her traveling to Warsaw and just getting started out, so unsure, so naive and green and new in the world. She finally enters into a congregation as a novice, and we journeyed with her when she took her perpetual vows, and that was exciting. And we've been with Sister Faustina through all of this. We've been with her, towards the beginning, there was the very dark periods when her soul was experiencing what it was like to be in hell. And she spent some time seeing what's like in purgatory. And those were some very dark times. And we talked a lot about that, how, hell is not a place where God wants to send us, but it's a place that we actually choose ourselves. And she witnesses what that is like. And it wasn't a pretty sight at all. And then we journeyed with Sister Faustina, when she was taking her perpetual vows, how happy she was to unite herself to Christ. And she was just full of joy and radiance. And, even today she described it as swooning when she's renewing her vows. You gotta love it. She's just like a blushing bride. And we've been with her through her highs and her lows. She's struggled with some of the sisters in her congregation. We've seen her struggle with trying to find a spiritual director, somebody that she can talk to and tell these inspirations to see if these are coming from herself or if they're truly coming from Christ. And she gets, two really good directors. She gets Father Zapotsko, who is her regular time confessor, and she gets Father Andres. Both of those fathers are very helpful to her. We've been with her when she's frightened to bring this message of mercy, and she doesn't know how to go about doing it because, in all honesty, Sister Faustina is just a young woman in Poland who's not very educated, and she's just kind of hidden away in a convent, and she feels pretty inadequate to do such a big job of bringing this painting of the divine mercy and the message that Christ wants to be brought to the world about his mercy and how much he wants to shower it on us. And so I think, if anything, what we've seen in these readings so far is just the humanness of what it's like to be a saint. Saints struggle with all kinds of things. They struggle with, temptations, doubts, fears, insecurities, all those kinds of things. But what they keep doing is they just keep trying. They want to keep trying to do the will of God. And they recognize that there are days when they don't do a good job. And even today, Satan comes kind of disguised as a soul that she's had a vision of before. And he's tempting her. He's like, oh, you think it's okay to pray for these souls, but you yourself have a lot of work to do, sister. And she's like, yes, I know. I have recognized that I struggle with these sins, and I have confessed them, and I have slipped up. That's true. I've slipped up, but it's not because I've wanted to. And it's not because I've thought about it beforehand and just decided to slip up. Yeah, I've done it, but I am still trying to do God's will. And every day I try to get up and do what He wants me to do, even though I struggle sometimes to fully trust that I'm the right person for the job and that these inspirations that Christ is giving me are truly coming from Him. Yeah, I struggle. And she admits all that. And that is one of the reasons why she's a saint, because she just doesn't give up. And so that's a message for all of us, because we are all called to be saints. And the path is not easy, and the path is not free of struggles and temptations and adversities. It's not. But it's just the fact that we get up every day and we just keep trying. So I am excited to move into notebook 2. Forgive me if I end up messing up and saying notebook 1, because I have this feeling that I'm going to revert back to saying notebook 1 because I've been saying it for 117 days. But I am excited to move into this next chapter. And thank you guys. Thank you all for committing to this. You know, this is a community now, and I am so happy that we are all doing this. And I know that come December, when this is all wrapped up, our lives are going to be the better for it. I know how hard it is to commit to something and be disciplined and show up. And again, like I've said before, if you're a couple days behind and you're not right on track, that's okay. I'm doing the Father Michael Schmidt's Bible in a Year podcast, and I'm a few days behind, but that's okay. Keep showing up and we'll get through this and it will be great. So I will see you back here tomorrow for day 118. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.